Karen's badge gleamed like a dictator's medal, but her HOA cop uniform couldn't hide the petty tyrant within. By the time she stormed our wedding, the cake was already melting in the July heat, and so was her grip on reality. The air crackled with tension as 200 guests turned to watch her march across the manicured lawn of Willow Creek venue, her boots stomping like she owned the place. She didn't. We did, at least for the day. But Karen, self-appointed enforcer of the Harmony Oaks Homeowners Association, had other plans. Her voice sliced through the soft hum of violins, demanding we shut down the ceremony for violating some obscure noise ordinance she dug up from the HOA's dusty rulebook. The irony, she wasn't even invited. Her name wasn't really Karen. Of course, it was Linda Voss, but everyone in Harmony Oaks called her Karen behind her back. The nickname fit like a glove. For years, she'd terrorized the neighborhood with her clipboard and her vendettas, fining people for unapproved mailbox colors, reporting kids for chalk drawings on sidewalks, even trying to ban Mr. Henderson's therapy dog for excessive barking. She'd upgraded her reign of terror 6 months ago when the HOA board, desperate to flex their dwindling authority, gave her a tactical vest and a badge that said HOA security. Now she patrolled the streets like a wannabe SWAT officer, her radio crackling with self-important chatter. But today, she'd picked the wrong fight. I'm Mia, the bride, and I'd spent a year planning this wedding. Every detail, the wildflower bouquets, the string quartet, the fairy lights woven through the oak trees, was perfect. My groom, Ethan, stood beside me, his jaw tight as Karen's tirade began. We'd known the HOA might be trouble. Harmony Oaks had a reputation for meddling, but we never expected an armed busybody to crash our vows. Ethan's hand squeezed mine, his eyes flicking to his father, Richard, who was already rising from his seat. Richard wasn't just any guest. He was the state attorney, a man who'd spent 30 years dismantling corruption and upholding justice. Karen had no idea who she was about to face. You're in violation of Ordinance 47B, Karen barked, waving a crumpled printout. This event exceeds permitted decibel levels. Shut it down, or I'm calling the sheriff. Her voice was shrill, but her eyes gleamed with the thrill of control. Guests murmured, some laughing, others pulling out phones to record. The quartet faltered, their bows hovering uncertainly. I felt my chest tighten, the dream of this day unraveling. Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady but sharp. This is private property. Linda, you have no jurisdiction here. Karen's face reddened. It's Karen to you, and I have every right. This is an HOA-sanctioned community. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, a mix of amusement and outrage. A few guests shouted back, egging her on or mocking her. Karen's radio crackled, and she barked into it, summoning backup from her two-person security team. That's when Richard stood, his presence commanding silence. At 62, he was tall, silver-haired, with a voice that could sway juries or shred egos. Ms. Voss, he said, his tone calm but laced with steel. You're overstepping. This venue is leased, fully permitted, and outside your authority. Stand down, or you'll regret it. Karen froze, her bravado flickering. She wasn't used to being challenged, let alone by someone who radiated power. But Karen wasn't one to back down. She doubled down, jabbing a finger at Richard. I don't care who you are. This wedding's a public nuisance, and I'm shutting it down. The crowd gasped. A cousin of Ethan's yelled, Go home. Karen and laughter rippled through the guests. Karen's face turned purple, her hands shaking as she reached for her radio again. That's when things escalated. Her backup arrived, two middle-aged men in matching HOA vests, looking more like mall cops than enforcers. One carried a flashlight, the other a notepad, as if they were about to write us all tickets. The absurdity would have been funny if it weren't so infuriating. Richard didn't flinch. He pulled out his phone, dialed, and spoke in a low, deliberate tone. Sheriff Daniels, this is Richard Harper. We have an unauthorized individual disrupting a private event at Willow Creek. I need you here now. Karen's eyes widened, but she pressed on, shouting about community standards and disrespect. Guests were now openly filming, live streaming the chaos to social media. Hashtags like Yui, Hoakaren, and Yin Wedding Crash Karen started trending within minutes. The internet was eating it up, but I was shaking, torn between rage and despair. This was supposed to be our day. The tension peaked when Karen tried to physically block the altar, stepping between me and Ethan. No vows until you comply, she snapped. Ethan's best man, Jake, a burly firefighter, stepped forward, towering over her. Move, lady, or I'll move you myself. The crowd roared, some cheering, others shouting for calm. I saw my mother in the front row, tears in her eyes, clutching my father's arm. Richard intervened, his voice cutting through the noise. Ms. Voss, you're trespassing. Leave now, or you'll be arrested. Karen laughed, a harsh, manic sound. Arrest me, I'm the law here. She wasn't. Sheriff Daniels arrived 10 minutes later, 2 deputies in tow. By then, the scene was a circus guest arguing, Karen screaming into her radio, and Richard standing like a general amidst the chaos. The sheriff, a no-nonsense man who'd known Richard for decades, listened to both sides. Karen's rant about noise violations and HOA rules fell apart when Richard presented the venue's permits, signed and notarized. The sheriff turned to Karen, his voice flat. You're out of line. Linda, leave, or you're coming with us. The crowd erupted in cheers as Karen's face crumpled. She stormed off, her backup trailing behind, but not before hurling a final threat. This isn't over. It wasn't. The internet exploded. Clips of Karen's meltdown went viral, racking up millions of views. Commentators on X called her the ultimate Karen, a symbol of petty power, run amok. Local news picked up the story, framing it as a battle between community overreach and personal freedom. The HOA issued a half-hearted apology, claiming Karen acted independently, but the damage was done. Harmony Oaks became a punchline, and Karen's name was synonymous with entitlement. But the backlash wasn't just online. Neighbors who'd suffered under her reign started speaking out, sharing stories of her bullying. A petition to dissolve the HOA gained thousands of signatures. For us, the wedding went on. After Karen's exit, the quartet resumed, and Ethan and I exchanged vows under a sky that had cleared, as if the universe approved. Richard gave a toast that night, his voice thick with emotion. Today wasn't just about love, he said, but about standing up to those who'd tear it down. Guests cheered, and I felt a weight lift. But the victory was bittersweet. Karen's outburst had exposed a deeper truth. The HOA's rules, and the people enforcing them, had gone too far. It wasn't just about our wedding, it was about a community suffocating under petty tyranny. In the weeks that followed, the fallout grew. Karen was fired from her HOA role, her badge stripped after public outcry. She tried to defend herself on a local radio show, claiming she was protecting the community. But her excuses only fueled the memes. Richard, true to form, didn't let it end there. He launched an investigation into the HOA's finances, uncovering years of mismanagement. The board was dissolved, and new leadership was elected, people who valued neighbors over rules. Harmony Oaks began to heal, but the scars of Karen's reign lingered. Karen herself vanished from public view, her house quietly listed for sale. Rumors swirled that she'd moved to another state, chasing a fresh start. I didn't hate her, not really. She was a product of a system that rewarded control over compassion, but her actions had consequences, and the karma was swift. The internet never forgot, and neither did Harmony Oaks. Our wedding became a rallying cry, a story of defiance that inspired others to challenge petty tyrants in their own communities. Looking back, I realized Karen's meltdown was a gift. It forced us to confront what we'd ignored, the slow creep of rules that stifled joy, of people who wielded power without accountability. Ethan and I are stronger for it. Our marriage forged in the fire of that day. Richard, ever the hero, Frame the viral video's thumbnail, Karen's furious face, Richard's calm resolve, and us, holding hands amidst the chaos. It hangs in our living room. A reminder that love can triumph, even when a Karen tries to steal the show. This story isn't just ours, it's a call to action. Stand up to the Karens in your life, whether they're wielding clipboards or badges. Fight for what matters, because no rule book can silence a heart that's determined to be heard.